Kính thưa quý vị và các bạn, du học hiện nay đang là một nhu cầu của học sinh, sinh viên Việt Nam. Tuy nhiên, học ở đâu, chọn trường nào, nghề gì lại còn tùy thuộc vào rất nhiều yếu tố. Ví dụ như là khả năng tài chính của gia đình, ngành nghề theo học và ngôi trường mà bạn sẽ đến học. Và để quý vị và các bạn có thêm sự chọn lựa, chúng tôi xin giới thiệu thành phố Perth xinh đẹp ở miền Tây Úc. Đây là một thành phố mà đạt danh hiệu là trung tâm sáng tạo cho những thành tựu khoa học toàn cầu. Bên cạnh đó, tại thành phố Perth còn có tới 5 trường đại học đạt mức độ tiên tiến trên thế giới trong lĩnh vực khoa học và công nghệ. Tại thành phố này thì nó còn là nằm trong top 10 thành phố đáng sống nhất trên thế giới do tạp chí Economic của Anh bình chọn. Và ngày hôm nay chúng tôi mời đến phim trường hai vị khách đến từ thành phố Perth thuộc bang Tây Úc. Xin được giới thiệu giáo sư Úc Lyn Beazley là chuyên gia khoa học hàng đầu của bang Tây Úc và ông Mike Ryan là tổng giám đốc trung tâm xúc tiến giáo dục bang Tây Úc. Nice to meet you and welcome to Ho Chi Minh City and welcome to our show.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And the first question I have is for Mr. Mike. Hello, Mike. Can you tell us about why Perth Education City decided to bring Professor Úc Lyn Beazley and the science delegation to Vietnam this time?
Sure. Professor Beazley is a pioneer. She's the first female chief scientist in Australia. And secondly, she pioneered the treatment of preterm babies. And her research team in Perth discovered ways to treat preterm babies that extended their life and made them well. And this was adopted around the world, including here in Vietnam. And so we wanted to bring Professor Beazley to Vietnam to have a chance to speak to school kids and university students to inspire them about science.
Thank you, Mike Ryan, for that gesture. And I think that we welcome Mr. Lyn Beazley to Ho Chi Minh City. And can you please tell us about Perth Education City and your role?
Well, I've got the best job in the world. No, I've got a team of people, and our role is to talk about education and what we are doing in our state in Western Australia.
Yeah.
So we're a team of 10 people. We speak 12 languages between us. And we work in Vietnam, but we work in many countries around the world, talking to young people and to parents about education. And another role we perform is to bring together universities and colleges around the world to talk about collaborative research or MOUs.
Can you tell our Vietnamese audience about Perth City and why Vietnamese students should choose Perth for studying?
Sure. Perth's been growing strongly in the last decade, and it's probably the powerhouse, the economic powerhouse of Australia. But underpinning its economic success is a very, very solid world-class education system. In fact, we wouldn't be as productive as we are if we didn't have the universities and colleges and schools and the research underpinning that to make us as productive as we are.
Mm-hmm.
And so we find Vietnamese students who are looking for education in a city. We've got about 1.6 million people in our city.
Right.
And we attract students from around Australia, but also from our region, from the Asia Pacific, from Europe, from the United States, from Canada. And the reason they come and study there is because the institutions are very high class.
Nice to hear that. I think it's a good news for Vietnamese students who are considering studying overseas, especially going to Australia. And I understand that many Vietnamese students would like to get some part-time work experience while studying. Is Perth a good place to do that?
It's probably the best place in Australia to do that because our city has got the lowest unemployment rate in the country. So one of the things that we find with students from Vietnam and also from other countries where English is not their native language, what the part-time work does, it gives them a chance to mix with a local community. And they can learn about how businesses are run in Australia. And it also gives them a chance to get that English a bit stronger. And, of course, it makes them feel part of the community. And in the process, they can earn some pocket money.
Hello, Professor Beazley.
Hello.
As you are one of the top science communicators in Australia, can I ask how we can encourage more students to science?
It's important that we do because we need more scientists as the world is facing lots of challenges. So we start with the primary schools. We excite young students to see the joy of science and the fact that they can do it for themselves and watch things happen. And then as they go to secondary school and further training, then science is very much part of their lives.
I see. And Professor Beazley, I think that science requires certain knowledge, basics to explore and apply. So what teaching methods do you use to teach students at young ages to understand and practice science?
I think the point is it doesn't have to be expensive, it doesn't need complicated equipment, and it needs the teachers to be enthusiastic. They don't need to have an awful lot of science skills to begin to share the knowledge they have. So for example, to encourage students to plant seeds and watch them grow, to take some binoculars and look at the moon. These sort of things you can do, they are not expensive. Just buy a little magnifying glass and start looking at the structure of flowers, of leaves, of the coat you're wearing. Lots of opportunities.
Okay, just listen to you. I myself feel very inspired already. So can you give us some more further examples, some more details of science research from Perth that we can use, and hopefully we can help the Vietnamese community?
It's very important to look at science that can be applied around the world, and we're very aware of that in Perth, Western Australia. So one very exciting research project at the moment being conducted by a scientist who has already won a Nobel Prize, Professor Barry Marshall, is to try to develop a new way to give vaccines. Now we have to give vaccinations with a needle. This is expensive, and in remote areas you need trained staff. He is trying to develop a vaccine that you would just eat with a yogurt. This would be a wonderful advance.
Okay.
Another thing we are doing is we have already developed a special piece of equipment that you can take to remote areas to look inside people's eyes. You just put it close to your eye and take a photograph. You send the photograph to a specialist in a hospital who diagnoses the problem and sends back information to the people there to start the treatment. Early diagnosis means a better chance of recovery. You can do this without having to go long distances to the hospital, but you still have the skill of the doctor, the specialist, to help you.
How many Vietnamese students are currently studying in Perth? Do you have any statistics
Sure.
or anything about that? And which courses do they usually do?
Sure. We've got about 1,500 Vietnamese students studying in Perth. About half of those study at our universities.
Yeah.
Half study in our college system that leads to university. We've got some Vietnamese students in our schools. And of course many Vietnamese studying English as well, so that they can do very well at university and college. At the moment, most of the Vietnamese students enjoy studying business, but we've got increasing numbers, slowly increasing in areas like engineering, in areas like science, which is one of the reasons we brought Professor Beazley with us.
Can you comment on the value of a student of undertaking international education in Perth?
We know that when the students come back, they've got two critical things. The first they've got to offer is very good English. English is a communication language for diplomacy, for business, and especially for science. The second thing, of course, is new skills.
Yeah.
They have learned new skills, new ways of doing things, new ways of solving problems. And this brings a new perspective to your workplace here in Vietnam. Many of them, when they return, they get offered very good jobs because the employers here value that experience that they've had outside of the country.
Professor Beazley, with the university students who want to explore and research science, what are the benefits?
The benefits are world-class educational system, excellent teachers, very good mentoring schemes, access to the very best equipment, and opportunities to work with scientists who are doing research right here in Vietnam. So you will learn skills that you can take anywhere in the world, but if you want to bring them back home and apply them here as soon as you return, then you are on a fast track to do that.
Professor Lyn Beazley and Mr. Mark Ryan, it's a great pleasure to have you two here in Ho Chi Minh City Television, our studio, especially in our city. And we wish you have a good stay here. And once again, thank you.
Thank
you so much. Thank you.
Kính thưa quý vị và các bạn, hy vọng rằng những thông tin vừa rồi đã mang đến cho quý vị những hình ảnh về thành phố Perth trong sự lựa chọn, đồng thời là chuẩn bị kiến thức hành trang để đến môi trường học tập và sinh sống mới được tốt hơn. Chương trình đến đây xin tạm dừng. Cảm ơn quý vị và các bạn đã quan tâm theo dõi và xin hẹn gặp lại trong chương trình lần sau.